Looking for hidden gems that run smoothly on a low-end PC? In this video, we're diving into some underrated games that deliver great gameplay without demanding top-tier hardware. Whether you're into strategy, action, or indie titles, these picks will give you hours of fun without breaking your system. Let's get started. On the number 10 spot we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. Mutants in Manhattan is a fast-paced action game where you control the Turtles through chaotic street battles against classic villains like Shredder and the Foot Clan. The game lets you switch between Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael, each with unique abilities and fighting styles. It's got a cartoony art style and feels like a comic book come to life, but the combat can get repetitive after a while. It's best enjoyed in co-op mode with friends, though the story and solo play aren't super deep. Fun for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans, but not a must-play for everyone. On the number 9 spot we have Tortuga 2 Treasures. Tortuga 2 Treasures is an action-adventure pirate game where you play as a pirate named Thomas Blythe. You'll be sword fighting, shooting, and commanding ships in naval battles. The story is a bit cliché with treasure hunts and betrayal, but it has that classic pirate charm. Combat can feel clunky at times, and the graphics are pretty dated, but it's got some fun ship battles if you're into that. Don't expect anything groundbreaking, but if you love pirate themes and old-school games, it's worth a try. On the number 8 spot we have Total Overdose. Total Overdose is like a wild blend of GTA and Max Payne, set in a crazy, over-the-top Mexican action movie world. You play as Ram, a guy on a mission to find out who killed his father, and the game is all about stylish, exaggerated gunfights. You can do slow-motion stunts, like diving through the air while shooting, and the story doesn't take itself too seriously. It's full of cheesy dialogue, explosions, and fun mayhem. The graphics are dated, and it can feel a bit repetitive, but if you're into arcade-style action with a sense of humor, you'll have a good time. On the number 7 spot we have The Darkness 2. The Darkness 2 is a fast-paced, first-person shooter with a dark, supernatural twist. You play as Jackie Estacado, a mob boss who wields a demonic power called the Darkness, which gives you extra abilities like using demon arms to rip through enemies while still shooting. The game is super violent, but it's also got a gripping story about revenge and dealing with this curse. The cel-shaded comic book art style makes it look unique, and the gameplay mixes traditional shooting with brutal, creative ways to take down enemies. It's short, but the intense action and story make it memorable. On the number 6 spot we have Shadow Warrior. Shadow Warrior is a fast-paced, first-person shooter where you play as Lo Wong, a wisecracking, sword-wielding mercenary. The game is all about combining slick gunplay with intense melee combat using your katana. It's got a ton of bloody action, over-the-top enemies like demons, and cheesy humor that doesn't take itself too seriously. The levels are pretty linear, but there's lots of fast-paced, satisfying combat. If you're looking for an old-school shooter vibe with modern graphics and plenty of chaos, Shadow Warrior delivers a fun, wild ride. On the number 5 spot we have The Cursed Crusade. The Cursed Crusade is an action-adventure game set during the Crusades, where you play as a knight cursed with dark powers. The game mixes sword-fighting combat with a bit of supernatural flair. You and a buddy can team up in co-op mode, which is pretty fun, as you battle through hordes of enemies and tackle some medieval quests. The story involves a lot of historical and mythical elements, but the gameplay can be repetitive and the graphics are a bit dated. If you enjoy cooperative melee combat with a historical twist, it's worth checking out. On the number 4 spot we have Skybreak. Skybreak is a sci-fi survival game set on a mysterious, abandoned planet overrun by rogue robots. You play as a researcher trying to repair your ship while exploring the planet, hacking hostile machines, and surviving harsh weather. It's got a mix of combat, exploration, and crafting, with a focus on hacking robots to fight for you. The game has a cool open-world vibe, but it can feel a bit repetitive, and the visuals are more indie quality. If you like survival games with a sci-fi twist and don't mind a slower pace, it's an interesting adventure to dive into. On the number 3 spot we have Deadpool. Deadpool is an action-packed hack-and-slash game that perfectly captures the insane humor and fourth-wall-breaking style of the Marvel character. You play as Deadpool, and the game's full of over-the-top combat, ridiculous weapons, and crazy jokes that never stop. The gameplay mixes gunplay and melee attacks, and while the combat can get repetitive, it's the character's humor and constant wisecracks that keep it fun. It's not super polished, and the story is just an excuse for more chaos. But if you're a fan of Deadpool's humor and don't mind a bit of messy action, you'll have a blast with this one. On the number 2 spot we have Call of Juarez, Gunslinger. Call of Juarez Gunslinger is a first-person shooter set in the Wild West, where you play as a bounty hunter named Silas Greaves. The game's all about fast-paced gunfights, showdowns, and flashy shooting skills like bullet time. What makes it stand out is the storytelling. Silas narrates his own adventures, but he's an unreliable narrator, so things change mid-mission, making the story feel dynamic and fun. It's got a cool comic book style look, and while it's not very long, the tight gameplay and clever narrative make it a solid pick for Western fans or anyone looking for a fun shooter. Finally, on the number 1 spot we have DMC, Devil May Cry. DMC Devil May Cry is a reboot of the classic Devil May Cry series, with a younger, edgier version of Dante as the main character. It's an action-packed hack-and-slash game where you fight demons, using a mix of stylish swordplay and gun combat. The gameplay is all about chaining together combos, switching between weapons, and keeping the action fast and fluid. The story takes a darker, more modern tone, but it's still full of attitude and one-liners. Some fans didn't love the new Dante, but the combat is slick, and it's a great entry point if you're new to the series. Alright guys, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, then consider subscribing to help support the channel. Also feel free to let me know what videos you would like to see me upload next. Until next time, happy gaming